Hey guys, how y'all doing on this Monday? I'm coming at you with another video. And guys, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the divine masculine versus the divine feminine. What is the divine masculine? What is the divine feminine? How do they work together? What does it mean when someone says that I'm fully in my masculine, or I'm fully in my feminine, or vice versa? I'm going to get into that in this video, guys. So those of you who don't know me, or you're just tuning in, or maybe you know me, I'm going to let you know again who I am. I am Arlessa-Wise, guys, and I am a soul and mindset coach geared towards helping people identify where they need to heal, how they can facilitate that healing through mindset shifts as well as somatic release. So, all right, guys, let's get right into this video. So I know a lot of you have probably heard about divine masculine and divine feminine, and for me personally, this is kind of a special video because for a long time I've been a woman who has kind of sat in the pocket of her masculine energy for the majority of her life, and so understanding how to really tap into my divine feminine and heal that and bring into balance the masculine as well has been quite a challenge. And I know that it has to be for other people. So it's not just women who can go into their masculine fully, or even a man. When a man's fully in his masculine, that means he's not bringing those feminine qualities, because everybody has feminine and masculine energy within them. So this applies to same-sex relationships, opposite-sex relationships. There's always going to be a partner that is more in their masculine and the other one is more in their feminine, right? It just always happens that way. That's the dynamic of relationships. And when you have a relationship where both partners are extremely in their masculine or extremely in their feminine, then that's where you get those imbalances from. So it's always really cool, and totally cool to understand your own masculine and feminine energies that are within you. And then it's able, when you're more aware of those and you're healing those and you're able to bring them into balance, then you choose those partners that are also able to do the same, which is really important, right? But we all don't know how to do this. Or you choose a partner that is open to understanding how to do the same, if that makes sense. It's all about that energy exchange and the openness and the willingness. So what is divine masculine energy? What is that energy? So the masculine energy is all about being in your head, analyzing situations, being the provider, being the protector, being in that kind of defense stance. Although you can be in your masculine and not be in your defense stance, it's just you being at the readiness to defend when called to do so. Okay, the masculine is that very cradling energy that gives you that sacred and safe space, because the energy is protective by nature. Okay, divine feminine is the nurturing, the feeling, the mother of everything. It's also allowing you to tap into your emotions. The feminine energy surrenders to the masculine energy when it feels safe and when it feels secure, because the feminine energy needs to feel safe and secure in order to completely step into that feminine and bring those nurturing qualities, that understanding, that feeling, and just the feminine aspects of that goddess energy, which is in us all. So a man can have his masculine energy, which is, yes, be the protector, be the provider, do all of those things, but you must balance those energies within yourself as well, because having those feminine energies allows a man to tap into the divine feminine that is already within him. Although the masculine energy is there, the divine feminine allows a man to tap into the feeling, connect on an emotional level, being able to bring in that compassion instead of that strict ruler or that strict protector. They're also able to be compassionate and empathetic and more understanding. Okay, so a woman who is in her divine feminine and has those masculine qualities, the masculine energy within a woman allows her to be independent when it's necessary, step into those full boundaries, have firm and independent stance, but also be able to surrender to the masculine when it's necessary, right? So you have to be at the readiness to be willing to stand up for the people you love and what you defend and what is important, what hits you, where is your integral line at, where are your morals. These things that encompass our characteristics and our personality is all balanced with our masculine and feminine energies. So what does it mean when someone is fully in their masculine or say fully in their feminine. And where does that happen? Where do these wounds take place, or the healing need to take place in order to see where these wounds have caused this to happen? Okay, now before I go a little further into it, I always want to bring people to the remembrance that this is not about gender. This is about masculine and feminine energies, which everyone holds. So even in a same-sex relationship, okay, like I said earlier, everybody has more of the feminine role or more of the masculine role, although you may have the same type of responsibilities and obligations and feelings. If you really think about it, everybody has a dynamic where one is more masculine and one is more feminine. So I'm about to get into explaining when someone is more in their masculine or more in their feminine, and it's up to you in your own relationships and, you know, your own energy exchanges with other people to use your own discernment on what you see in yourself as well as them. Okay, so what does it mean when, let's say, a woman is mostly in her masculine? So I very much relate to this. This is something I am currently moving through, okay? A woman that is fully in her masculine doesn't feel safe, okay? She doesn't have another, like, say, energy that allows her to feel safe, although a woman can learn to feel safe in her own energy and then bring that feminine in, and that is a whole nother process. But at the same time, it's essentially all the same thing when recognizing what is more dominant in somebody. So when a woman is fully in her masculine, she feels like she has to constantly protect herself. She has to provide for herself, right? She's called to create her own safe space, and therefore being the person that is the provider, is the protector, and is always ready to defend, right? She has to bring that masculine energy in. So when she is in that role fully, she doesn't have enough space for her divine feminine to feel as safe in the nurturing spot and allowing herself to surrender to the masculine, because she is having to embody the masculine. So in relationships, how this works in that dynamic is if a woman doesn't feel, or the feminine energy in the relationship doesn't feel nurtured, appreciated, or doesn't have that connection on a feeling and emotional level, then she starts to retract into her masculine to give herself that instead of receiving from somebody else. And so then she's unable to balance because she has that feeling of kind of lack, scarcity, or just not being provided that by a counterpart that's in her life, or she's not able to provide that for herself due to circumstantial situations, or needing to just heal her own divine feminine so that she can further step in and balance that. Okay, so in a relationship, you would want to see what the man's role is. Is he being the provider? Is he being the protector? Is he being a safe space for her to surrender and step into her femininity? Okay, so this also has practice with sexual practices with each other. When you have sex, a woman who is full in her femininity, in her divine feminine, is able to surrender to the masculine in that process, and you're able to kind of work together. But a woman who doesn't feel safe in that space, or she's not connected to her divine feminine through her emotions, which is what the divine feminine is, then she's in her head, and then she overthinks it, and she's not fully allowed to surrender herself to the process of being even sexually interactive with somebody in that process, that energy exchange. Okay, this has a lot to do with, you know, understanding that we have these energies in ourselves. So it's not necessarily finding the counterpart that is that other dynamic. It's about balancing these energies within ourselves so that we choose the partner that is most needed for us in that moment, that is also able to do the same for themselves. Okay, so what does it look like when a man is fully in his feminine and he's not able to step into his masculine? Well, the relationship, let's start there. In a relationship with a woman who is very dominating, who is very controlling, who has to have, you know, matters in her own hands, or is not allowed to surrender, forces a man to be in his feminine, essentially against his nature, right? It's natural for a man or a counterpart that's supposed to be in their masculine to feel safe also being masculine. So when they say you demasculate a man, it's when you start to take those masculine qualities from him as being a woman maybe fully in her masculine who doesn't understand how to surrender to that feminine and allow him to bring his masculine. And it's vice versa. It's really all about that energy exchange and understanding what to surrender, when to surrender, who to surrender to. And surrender isn't like, oh, you become this person that allows somebody to just control you. It's about that flow together and feeling safe and allowing both energies to come together and work together, since we all have them in there. So a man in his feminine is somebody who maybe doesn't know how to take care of himself. He doesn't know how to, let's retrace that. He's more in his feminine, like maybe his nurturing side, because maybe he had to grow up really fast and be the nurturer of the family. Maybe that mother wound is there. And so he stays in that energy in order to be taken care of, to feel that nurturing, to feel whatever, but he stays there in his feminine and not allowing his full masculine to come in to actually take care of himself and nurture himself in the ways that the divine feminine and the masculine energies together do. So vice versa. So you can just kind of see the dynamic and how to do this. Now, how do you start to heal like your divine feminine or your divine masculine? Well, you have to start to really do the inward work and look at first, where are you sitting in the pocket of that energy? So for me personally, because I always like to bring this in, because guys, I'm right there with you. For me, I was overly independent. So say if I was at a bar or I went with a guy for drinks and he wanted to buy me a drink, I'd be like, oh, I have to buy him a drink. I have to do it. I can't allow him to just do that and pay for me. I'm in my independence. I'm not able to ask for help around my house because I want to do it myself. I have to do it myself. I have to depend on myself, you know. So I was in my masculine for a really long time. I still am, but I'm working through it. But I also understand how to be feminine. But at the same time, there is that imbalance that I am currently working on healing. But a lot of that comes from, you know, women having to be placed in circumstantial situations where they have no choice but to embody that masculine. And that masculine, sorry guys. Anyways, I don't know where that accent came from. Anyways, but vice versa. If a man doesn't feel safe within his own feminine energy, it's because he's not connected emotionally to things. He's not allowing himself to be connected emotionally to things, you know, and vice versa. I really think that it has a lot to do with wounds having to stem from our father figures, our mother figures, you know, in one way or the other. You don't necessarily have to have a parent that did something excruciatingly painful to you. It could be subtle things that just happen periodically through your life that just put you in a zone to not be balanced within your masculine and feminine. And I'm not saying that's it exactly. I'm just saying a lot of the stuff that we go through and the patterns and the habits that we form over time in our relationships after we become an adult has to do with a lot of the screenshots and the patterns and the emotions and all the things that happened in our childhood that we weren't allowed to process or we weren't taught to process. And then as adult, you work through those unhealed aspects or those misunderstood aspects that were never explained. And we never really tuned into ourselves and our body and our mind. So, I don't know. You know, it's all connected. And so when you really start to look at this stuff, you really can start to balance each. So when you start to balance your feminine or your masculine energy, you start to heal one or the other one will start to heal simultaneously kind of with it, because you start to understand the balance of one and then you understand the balance of the other. So guys, I hope some of this helped you. I could probably go on and on all day about this. If you want to get a conversation going or discussion going in the comments, or message me, or you want to see maybe more about either the divine or the masculine, guys, let me know. Okay, so I hope you all have a good week. I hope this video helped. And guys, thanks for watching my video. I appreciate the heck out of you. All right, have a good week.